All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's Flashback Reviews, where I take movies from the past, break them down, and tell you what I think about them. Today, we're talking about a movie that I've never seen before, but we're considering Flashback because it came out in
Hooray.
1984. But before we begin, I can't do this alone because this movie needs to be talked about by many, many people at once. So I've been joined by 16 other people because the last time I had
Yay.
16 other people, that didn't go very well. But
Bless
instead,
you.
now we have 3 people, so they all left.
Hooray.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
those 2 people are of course Triv, which is on my right or left, depending on how you view this video, and then Kurt's below me. How you doing, Kurt? Oh shit.
That's not very nice.
You're,
That's what
you're
she
left,
said.
you're right. If you're my left, you're right. If you're watching at home.
All right. But Triv, Triv, of course, Cohert on the podcast.
Cohert.
Kurt is
Woohoo.
Cohert. Kurt has also been on the podcast of the Fifth Dimension, which will restart at some point in the future. I don't know when. Whenever Jake decides he's not busy.
See,
So-
I think he just needs to retool and just drop Jake and me. Just drop him like
No.
a bad habit.
No, that would be
I
rude.
I've said
I'm
it's like
kidding.
that. It's like that South Park joke. We want more money, more money. You're not my friend, buddy. You're not my buddy, guy. You're not my guy, friend. Let's do it.
Well, you know,
Nah, I
it's
miss
not.
Jake.
It's not
He's too
a.
busy.
It's not a Nick thing unless there's at least one Treehouse of Horror reference.
Is there? Well, I mean, didn't they do Toxic Avenger and Simpsons at some point?
I'm
Maybe?
sure
I
they
don't know.
did. I have absolutely
Probably,
no
maybe.
doubt that they did. I
Yeah.
am not that big of a Simpson fan to go looking.
I'm sure Lloyd Kaufman was in The Simpsons at some point.
I mean, it was in Superman apparently.
And
was.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
'Cause-
Yep.
James Gunn.
And Slither.
James Gunn did
Yep.
Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Well, he
Slither
did
and
all kinds
Super.
of stuff. So yeah.
But today we're talking about a cult classic, consider like one of the great cult classics of all time. This movie, once again, because I'm doing this review, I'm doing this spoiler chat, because the new Toxic Avenger is coming out. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, it's Peter Dinklage playing the Toxic Avenger himself. But it has a good cast. It has, Jacob Tremblay and stuff like that, and Elijah Wood as like this really creepy looking bad guy. But it's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to be really graphic. The trailer makes it look really graphic. But I brought 2 people, Kurt and Trev, who watch these types of movies, that watch the really kind of chaotic and insane and sometimes not very good movies, but they like these types of movies more than I do.
Yay.
But Toxic Avenger is one of those
You mean
movies
we have taste, is what you're saying?
We're
Yeah,
people of
in
class and culture.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, they're reviewing movies like, I don't know, War of the Worlds from 2025.
Killer
No,
condoms.
Killer
No.
Condos.
We do not talk about that War of the Worlds movie.
Oh, why not? It could be fun.
But you know it's not. You watched it with us.
I am well aware, but there are people that the reason it was fun was just like any good riffable movie. It's the
That's
reaction
true.
of the people, not the actual movie, because the movie is balls. But those around it are what make it good.
You just
That's
got
fair.
excited for the drone that delivered the thumb drive. Thumb drive.
Oh yeah,
I don't have a
100%.
thumb drive.
That is my go-to. Okay, this is the second podcast within 24 hours that's brought up
Yeah.
both of those things.
And I brought
Well, I
them both
mean,
up.
yeah.
So
Anyway, so Toxic Avenger we're going to talk about because the new one's coming out, and I figured, I'm not gonna lie, I've never really seen a Troma film before, which is a
Yes.
sad thing. I know I've never seen Romeo and Juliet. I've never seen Toxic Avenger. Maybe there is a Troma film that I've seen. I can't remember offhand, but nothing I can remember. I haven't seen Class of Nukem High or whatever that was.
I mean,
Oh, that's a
generally,
fun one.
Toxie is or Toxic Avenger, the original, is lesser or more than the other trauma movies that are out there, but it is probably the most accessible and well known
Yeah.
in general culture.
yeah,
It's also probably a good entry into trauma because depending on the era of trauma you're talking about, you're either going to get something that's really, really, really campy and goofy and kind of gross, or you're going to get something that's just like really, really, really low budget asylum and just kind of downright awful.
Yeah,
Right.
and the interesting thing about this movie, and something I didn't realize, that somehow Lloyd Kaufman had a budget of $500,000, which is kind of surprising for a movie, because usually you hear about, Desperado. It was not Desperado. Which one was the Robert Rodriguez one?
El
El Mariachi.
Yeah,
El Mariachi, and then they made then they made Desperado. But yeah, El
Right.
Mariachi was the first one. Yeah,
Yeah, but El
Technically.
Mariachi cost like 12 grand, and Clerks
Yeah.
cost like $100 40,000 at the most, or whatever, 50,000, and they're huge successes. I mean, even Napoleon Dynamite only cost like a couple of $1 million, and that became a huge success. But yeah, I didn't realize that Toxic Avenger had such a higher budget than I thought it'd been like $1,200 or something like that. And not saying anything against Lloyd Kaufman and his crew, but it was just surprising. But it made a lot of money.
He does more with less. He does do more with less.
He's kind of like Roger Corman. It's that same thing where they have a certain budget. They're gonna stretch it. I will say though, without getting too much into it, like they did, for the money that they had, for the fact that it was the way that it was, I think they spent their money in pretty good ways.
We'll get into it, but like, the sequel cost $2.5 million, which is crazy, and it just shows you that it's like going from Clerks to Mallrats. It's the same thing. Mallrats had like a $12 million budget or something like that. It's the thing about this movie, and the thing I want to ask you guys is, when was the first time you saw it, and do you think it still holds up today? I mean, it's basically Toxic Avenger, so I mean, depending on how you guys feel about it. So tell me what you think.
Go ahead, Kurt.
The first time I saw it was, I'm relatively new to it. I knew about it because I always remember seeing, like, you'd see the cover art or whatever somewhere, and someone would bring up on a list of something about bad movies that are surprisingly good or whatever. And I don't think this one's a bad movie. I've seen much worse. Just in the last few months, I've seen stuff that's a lot worse than this stuff. I think whether it holds up, I don't know, because like
we're talking about 1984, so.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's 41 years ago. It's a different time than it was 41 years ago. It's designed to be offensive. I mean, we that's what when we watched it, we talked about that. How just incredibly offensive some of when Bozo and his gang murdered this poor little Skippy on the bike, and you hear
it's like straight out of Assault on Precinct 13. That shot when they just murder the kid with the ice cream.
Just shoots a girl. But yeah, they're discussing the point system like it's Death Race 2000. And they throw out epithets about, Jewish people and, black people and stuff.
Oh yeah, but they use all the words.
They use all the words. They use some hard R's. But they're not good. They're not good characters, and they're designed to be like that. And there are, the town's, the people in charge of the town, like the police chief, who is just a frickin' Nazi, literally doing the heel click and doing the doing the Roman salute, and Pat Ryan's character, the mayor, is just like a fat slob, like a greasy Italian caricature. But
you can tell it was a different time.
Yeah, I was to say it's designed to be offensive, and most people, I don't know. I mean, I could, it's like Blazing Saddles. Oh, you can't make that today. Well, you probably can't, but
I mean, they did.
You can laugh at it. Yeah, yes, they did. You can laugh at it, and it's fine. I don't know. Maybe some people might find it offensive these days that they came back and they just never heard of it before. Watching it for the just like watching it before the new one comes out.
Well,
maybe they might take offense to it, but I didn't take offense to it. It's a movie.
I think there's an expectation, though, too, of when it comes to Troma, maybe not at that point in history, just because Troma, I mean, I think you kind of had an idea of what Troma was if you knew what it was back in the day. But if you're looking at it from a 2025 lens or whatever, I think going in sort of what to expect. And like any movie, this certainly has bits that age well and things that don't age well. And I think that it's, as long as you go in knowing sort of what you're coming into, the people that aren't going to go for this movie, they're not going to go for this movie unless they want to, do rage bait or something. So, as far as holding up, go ahead.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, the things that make me uncomfortable or stuff like Birth of the Nation, I understand that its importance to American culture and stuff like that, but it's so incredibly not good as a movie that it just bothers me. And I guess I don't have a problem with the fact that it deals with the KKK, but a movie like this, the movie in the time frame that it came out, it's like watching Porky's or something like that. Watching, once again, Blazing Saddles. They're meant to be offensive because they're going for an angle of shock value. They're going for something that will light up a room and make you question your own morality of like, why is this funny? It's like at the time when 9/11 happened, I remember hearing the story about Gilbert Godfrey, who made a joke about 9/11 like a week after it happened, and he got mercilessly booed for it. And then he told the what's that joke? That famous raunchy joke, the aristocrats is aristocrats joke, which is like an extremely offensive joke, and everybody's laughing. And I guess humor, it's supposed to be offensive, it's supposed to be shocking, it's supposed to make you laugh in uncomfortable ways, and I think that's what this movie does. I just don't know if it's necessarily a good movie. Like it's more of just kind of an experience. I don't know, Trev, if you agree with that.
So when it comes to movies like this, I certainly use a slightly different scale of good and bad than what I would on like a Hollywood movie. One of the things I consider big, which I kind of already talked about, was like the stuff that went into it, the budget. Because you can kind of judge a movie from what you see on screen versus the technology and the innovation and the stuff that went into it behind it. It's how we judge things like The Room or whatever. Repeatability, how it goes over with a crowd, all that stuff. From a technical standpoint, I find this kind of impressive given budget, given the amount of stuff that they do, because there's explosions, there's some pretty decent practical effects. There's some pretty decent stunts in this. As far as the movie itself, I hate to say, it's like looking at a movie from the 40s and going, well, they're going to treat women a certain way. The fact that a woman gets spanked in a 40s movie is not right, but it's one of those things where of that time, not right, but it's a thing that they did. From this perspective, with this kind of movie, I look at it as, there's not much story. Like, you see a guy, running around with a mop, beating the shit out of people. That's kind of the movie. And then he falls in love with a big-breasted blind woman, and yay Toxie at the end. I mean, it's government corruption versus a mutant guy with a mop. It's pretty simple. There's no like A and B storyline really. It's event. So it's not what I would call a good movie, but it's enjoyable as long as you can.
You have to be in a right state of mind.
You absolutely have to, and I think that's true with anything Troma. Like if you get into even something that's a little bit more, I guess, lack of a better term, classy, like Sergeant Kabuki Man. There's some pretty gnarly shit in something like that too. And that's a little bit more. It's not highbrow by any stretch, but it is a little bit more classy than what you get with Toxie. With that, so anything Troma, I would even say something like Full Moon, from those things of that era. There is a grain of salt that you have to take with it, and knowing what you're getting into, like we said before, is kind of key to enjoying these. Group watches are helpful too. Like it's a shock value thing across the board. So to some extent, it's a good movie, but not like quote. It's quote good, not good.
Well, is this a midnight movie? Was this like Rocky Horror and stuff like that, or was it just kind of became a cult film?
I think it's more became a cult film.
Yeah, it's definitely not a midnight movie. I mean, it might have been shown that way, but to my knowledge, it's not like a
Troll 2 or anything like that. Or The Room,
I mean, Troll 2 was more cult than Midnight. I mean, Midnight so my definition with Midnight would be like something that's very risque. Like for the time, Rocky Horror was extremely risque because of themes. It's something that it's more goth and such. This or Troll 2 doesn't really, at least to me, doesn't strike as goth or like it's alternative. It's not really alternative lifestyle so much, I guess. I don't know. Is that kind of what you're thinking, midnight movie?
I was just curious because if you go to Universal Studios in Universal Orlando, they show Rocky Horror Picture Show every weekend on midnight. So I was just curious, like midnight movies were something that is like campy and like over the top and silly.
Yeah.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, so you think like The Room, because that's not necessarily a midnight movie, but that's something that people participate in actively. And Rocky Horror does the same way. They've built whole like rituals based around it. The things you do, throw stuff at the screen, yell at the screen. It's interactive. I don't feel like the Toxie movies. There might be one or two Troma that fall into that, but I wouldn't say that. At least from the interactive, if you look at Midnight Movie as an interactive experience, where it's constantly drawing people, I'm not sure that you would say that that's what Toxie is. It's just more cult than it is anything.
Yeah, I think this movie would be more like, along the lines of something you would see at more like a revival house at like the New Beverly out in Los Angeles or at the Music Box in Chicago or what have you. It's not really a midnight movie, but it's more like a movie you would program in the middle of the week you know, like if you want to do a double bill with like something like, I don't know if you want to do it like another Troma movie like Combat Shock or something like that. But yeah, I think more of this movie survived because of things like, you know, home video, because the box cover of this movie is amazing. It's just it's very comic booky, and you know, it just you know, has Toxie on the with holding the mop with the 221. It's just his face is disfigured and there's an American flag behind him. It's a kind of movie that, you know, somebody probably went to go see it, some little rinky dink movie house somewhere when it opened up, and like, you gotta see this movie. This is the craziest thing ever. This guy falls into a vat of toxic waste and he becomes a superhero, and he, you know, murders people with a mop, and there's, you know, violence and gore and drugs and sex and everything that you like. So yeah, I think that's kind of helps. It helps. I think like that and home movie releases kind of help maintain its cult status. And I don't know if it like helped Troma become like well, I can't really say what it is now, because it's kind of, unfortunately, Troma is just a little bit of a shell of its former self.
Yeah.
Lloyd Kaufman just puts out just shit, you know, and it's not, there's heart in this movie. It's not great, but there's heart because people cared about it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just, it's trash, but it's the kind of trash. It's like McDonald's. You don't, you know, there are better things out there, but sometimes you want the quarter pounder with cheese, and this is the movie equivalent of quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And it certainly has had an impact. Like, and I think the place that you see this movie, like Kurt said, it's like little rinky-dink movie houses. It's also like a film fest thing. Like when you want to see it on the big screen. But
before what's his name got in trouble, Harry Knowles, it would show up at like Button-Omathon or something like that.
Right, exactly.
You know, those types of fests, like the Alamo Draft House or something like that, when they had their
100%. But it's not a thing where you've got people lined up around the block to see it like every week, because it doesn't have that level of repeatability. Like once every like, you know, couple of years, and you're good to go.
Right. I was looking at midnight movies and stuff like Fritz the Cat, Eraserhead. Let's see what else. Pink Floyd's The Wall, The Warriors, Repo Man, Heavy Metal, Akira, Forbidden Zone, Evil Dead, and some of the newer considered midnight movies would be like Titan, Weird Al, The Yankovic Story, and The Substance would be a midnight movie. Like Queen of the Desert, Priscilla.
Right. I think this one has some. I think you have to go for the time, for as kind of as this movie is. I don't know that it's not far enough out there. Like, you look at Society, look at The Substance, you look at Priscilla. There's a specific thing that draws people to those movies. Whether it's the outrageousness of the practical effects, like the music, that there's something that really stands out. And not that Toxie doesn't stand out, but I don't think it goes, because like Nuke 'Em High is pretty standard for Troma. That goes way farther than this does.
So Surf Nazis Must Die.
Yeah.
Surf Nazis Must Die.
That's a fun one. That's a very a very good Troma movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, I think Toxie is like we talked about before we got on. It's kind of their Mickey Mouse, or it's become their Mickey Mouse. Like anything, and any media that you get from Troma from there forward essentially has, like, they've got Toxie on the box. Like, he appears like with Lloyd before, like, introducing any movie that comes up, because they normally will do like little intros beforehand, and it'll always be Lloyd Kaufman and Toxie. Like, he's as synonymous with the brand as Lloyd Kaufman himself is. So
right. It's interesting because Lloyd Kaufman, you know, he went to Yale. What is it with these comedians? Like, they come from Yale, they come from Harvard, they come from all these like prestigious colleges. Like, most of the Simpsons creators came from Harvard, the Lampoon.
Look at Monty Python; those guys all went to, like, the John Cleese and Graham
Princeton,
Graham
right,
Chapman.
or something like that.
No, it was Oxford or Cambridge.
Oh, right. I wonder what. That's the funny thing, because all these famous comedians, I wonder why these prestigious schools kind of relate to them. I know the Simpsons were, a lot of the creators come from like mathematics backgrounds. Like a lot of like Al Jean is like I think he has a degree in mathematics or something like that. I'm wondering what makes them go to these schools. Actually, apparently Lloyd Kaufman majored in Chinese studies, which is kind of funny.
Oh, wow.
He was classmates with is classmates with Oliver Stone and George W. Bush, which is interesting.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, you look at some of these guys, and like especially if they were known to be incredibly intelligent, I feel like you have this like hardcore study mentality. When you get to college, you're kind of, to some extent, you kind of break free of all that stuff. You're on your own for the first time. You explore more. I feel like if they put that much into dedicated study, they dedicate that much to partying or whatever. Like they think differently about comedy than your average person. They go deeper, into
Yeah,
the
and I think it's
obscure and the surreal.
okay. So after that little interruption, because we had things we had to take care of real quick. Okay, so Toxic Avenger came out in 1984. It was actually a surprise hit for, I'm assuming, for Troma. It was a movie that became a cult classic. And for my honest opinion of this movie, I had to set my expectations at a certain level because when I get into movie reviewer form, I can be a little harder than a lot of people will be when it comes to movies. And watching this movie, I was trying my best to not be that kind of critic, but I do have to say that there are some things in here that bother me, just on a level of like, no, I mean, just on a level of like, let's say the restaurant, or is it the fast food restaurant, goes on for like 25 minutes?
Shop.
Yeah, the taco shop before Toxie pops up. And I'm like, you guys, why do you guys it keeps going and going? And the thing, Kurt, that you said you enjoyed is the voiceover work.
Oh, I love that voice.
I thought it was horrible.
I don't know why. But it's clearly ADR and clearly.
But it's so bad.
Troma, remember, it's Troma. The budget of this movie was $50,000, or was it?
It was $500,000. They could have filmed this in a car. It feels like they filmed.
It's just so fun. I don't know why. It's because I think it's because it's so jarring.
Yeah,
because you're not expecting it. I think that's what made me. It's just, and it's also just hilariously fun. Like he has fun with the voice. Like when he goes up to the guys, "What's up, guys?" He just has fun with it. I know. I just love it so much.
Yeah, I know. I just, for me personally, it's just like, oh my god, everything else is great.
I think it's a state of mind. There is something about state, or like not state of mind, but like you have to be in the right mood to see it.
I mean, like LSD.
And if you, well, that doesn't hurt. But I think too that it's a, like you said, when you put on your movie reviewer hat, and because that's what you do here on YouTube, that can be a hard thing to turn off because that is your natural state. I think that the people that are into a good chunk of like these kind of movies, you do, I'm not going to say have the ability to turn off sense, because you can still see the bad, but our expectations of what bad is, like we've watched movies where the main character, like one made for YouTube where a guy whose ego was heaped beyond the gods. Basically, it was shots of his legs and, like, terrible, terrible CGI. But he himself, as the guy, not the character, thought himself a son of Greek gods.
And then he got yelled at and got thrown out of the park.
Yeah, like we're talking about, like, our expectations of what a bad movie is. And that's not to say we have our expectations of good movies, too. Like, you do have different scales. But from that perspective, like, it does change, like, the input. And I'm not. Of course.
Well, no. I was doing my best because I knew what movie I was watching, and like when it opens up and it's like this really over the top, campy, the nerds get picked on and they're like murdering a little kid for no reason. I knew what I was watching at that point. I knew that this movie was going to be just a gore fest, a just kind of 1984's version of just like campy horror. I mean, this is like getting in the territory of like Jason Takes Manhattan, like terrible.
Oh no, no. There is a completely different level between Jason Takes Manhattan.
Well, I'm just saying, like, Jason Takes Manhattan has that same level of camp where it's just like,
fair. Yeah.
Once he goes to Manhattan, 3 hours into the movie, it just like, it's like that's when it gets pretty decent. But when he's on that boat, it's like, oh my god! But
that's not hyperbole either. That takes 3 hours for him to get to Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly. But it's I don't know. There's just something kind of charming about the movie, like kind of off-putting, but I told you guys and I texted you guys, I said Troma should have made their motto, we aim to offend everyone, because this movie offends every single person. This is like what South Park does on a weekly basis in one movie, and I appreciate that. I can take it when when it's offending. but it's quite the movie. I mean, the bad guys look like, bad guys out of the Warriors. The cigar chomping guy, it's just
right,
all
everybody.
kinds. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
the poor blind woman, she's dating the Thing from Fantastic Four or something like that. And
And you know what's really bad is the fact that this is the best that she's basically treated throughout the entire run of these 4 movies.
does
Like
the
her
actress
treatment-
even show up in the next ones?
It's a different
No.
actress, same
Yeah,
name,
so
person. Well, and actually Toxie too. He's played by a couple of different people, both in name
Yeah.
and in actor.
I think the actor who played him in the first one who came back in like the 4th movie or something. He came back to play Toxie at some point in like one of the new movies or whatever. I didn't realize the 4th one came out in like 2000 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that's kind of when things started getting kind of. Well, Nick,
know.
you want to know what's really funny is the fact that like there was a cartoon made of this in 2000.
Oh yeah, I
There
know.
was. There's
Yes,
a whole slew of these. There's a whole slew of these like R-rated 80s movies that have like the cartoons. This had a cartoon. Police Academy had a cartoon. I think
RoboCop.
Rambo had
Yeah.
RoboCop, Rambo.
I remember one
Yeah,
actually
I think
called
Terminator?
Cops, and it was like super gory.
Terminator didn't have a cartoon, but they more obviously. I don't think they did for the first Terminator because they didn't have a budget for it. But when T2 came out, they marketed it like toys to kids.
Yeah.
And RoboCop they did too, and I'm sure there are Toxie toys. I'm sure you could probably find them at any like swap meet. Someone bought these for their kid, and they were freaked out by how ugly Toxie was.
Yeah, it didn't take much.
I didn't realize Lloyd Kaufman was the pre-production supervisor on Rocky.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Wow.
Yeah.
You went very far,
more
buddy.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
The principal photography of the Toxic Avenger took place in various locations in New Jersey. Car chase scene which ended with a car driving off a cliff and exploding was filmed in Jersey City. The scene was inspired by George Miller's Mad Max 2. But in essence, the movie is about a young person who works at a gym with all these cretin individuals who are a bunch of assholes and a bunch of perverts and a bunch of jerks and apparently psychopaths who basically,
especially Bozo.
Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah. They go out and get drunk and they murder a kid, which is like that's disturbing. But they mercilessly pick on this kid played by Mark Torgl, who's this really nerdy, goofy over the top who can't wear his pants right, and it just like it's your pure 80s nerd in a lot of respects, but it's more like hyper realized. And he gets he wears a pink tutu. And he gets bullied until he falls into conveniently placed coke-addled toxic waste bins.
Yep.
And they all laugh at him as he's turning into Toxie.
He's faking it.
Brutal.
He's faking it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Or he's
His
just going for
skin's
sympathy.
bubbling, and freaking blistering over, but he's faking it, and then he catches on fire, and then that music from Fantasia plays.
Yeah.
Of course, because what else would play?
Exactly.
Yeah, they played a lot during this movie too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like Spider-Man, he goes up to his room and his mom is, not really apparently worried about him, or she is worried about him or something like that. And
speaking of Spider-Man, we get an Aunt May, we get Marissa Tomei in a cameo in this movie.
Yeah, we do. It's I was quite shocked by that. I did not realize Marissa Tomei, like Jennifer Aniston, had their starts in a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
So Jennifer Aniston was a much better horror film than Marissa Tomei. But basically after that, it's all about the build-up of Toxie, him as a savior for the city. City is, of course, very much what would be the Troma version of RoboCop in a lot of respects. It's a crime-ridden like hellscape, and Toxie starts to gain an audience, and of course you have the bad guys up in the corrupt people and some of the worst corrupt people in the entire world up in the politics, and it's Toxie starts to save the day. He saves a blind woman whose poor dog gets shot, even though the dog is breathing as. I don't
think I ever noticed that until you pointed that out. But
yeah, the dog's breathing.
Whenever I watch this movie going forward, I'm just going to notice that. So
I'm like, I'm like, why is the dog still breathing? I mean, I don't want the dog to die, but it was just kind of obvious. But that's the whole movie. You know, she ends up moving in. The blind lady ends up moving in with Toxie to his trash dump or whatever, and it's gross and it's disgusting. And they make love, and I'm surprised they don't have Toxie babies or what. It's a movie where like things are killed and people are killed in crazy ways. With
Toxie babies.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Toxie babies because that doesn't come along until Toxie 4, but it is a thing that happens.
I haven't seen Toxic Avenger 4, but you know what? I'm happy that I know where that goes.
Well, it's kind of Toxie 4 gets anything beyond the first one gets a little weird. Believe it or not.
Imagine
surely
that.
You jest.
Absolutely every day. Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I jest.
But I gotta ask you, as you know, there's the death of the old woman in the laundromat for some reason, and she ends up being, what was she a part of? Like some sex ring or something like that?
White slave trade.
Is that what? We saw this like a week ago, so I'm forgetting some things, but basically it's the creation of a superhero in the vein of like a Dark Man or something like that. A guy who's horribly disfigured in a tragic accident, and he becomes like the hero that apparently we didn't need or realize we wanted. And it's too bad he's not in the Avengers or something like that.
Actually, they have done. I mean, the Toxic Crusaders was essentially that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was
like I said, this is the first real Troma Toxic Avenger I've seen.
Absolutely. So there's, if you go to the one thing, well, for good or for bad, Toxie 4 is kind of like the Troma Avengers, sort of. So you have. Okay. I'm trying to think. There's like a. Hang on, let me look it up quick. So I'm saying this.
So correctly. The Toxic Avenger Part 3 is called The Last Temptation of Toxie.
Mm-hmm. After The Last Temptation of Christ.
That's hilariously awesome.
Or The Last Temptation of Crust, the Simpsons episode.
Or the Ginger Dead Man movie.
Oh no!
No, that was the Bong movie. Crust. That was the Passion of the Crust.
Evil Bong. That was Full Moon, wasn't it?
In Citizen Toxic, he's got the superhuman heroes. He's got Sergeant Kabuki Man, who's kind of a takeoff of like Kabuki Theater. You've got the Mad Cowboy, which is like literally a guy with like udders, or like a cow, upright cow with udders. You've got Dolphin Man. You've got Master Space Bader, and you got the Vibrate.
No one ever accused these movies of being high class, man.
No,
that's
they're
so
not
awesome.
even remotely high class, and that's the thing.
Master Space
Master Bader.
Oh, so Ron Jeremy's in that one too, as Mayor Goldberg.
No. Actually, I think he does actually show up in Citizen Toxie.
Oh, Stan Lee is in it.
His evil. Oh, yeah, Ron Jeremy is in
Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf's in it. That's awesome. I gotta watch this movie.
Okay, I need to.
Well,
I guess honestly, you could jump
Eli
from
Roth?
1 to 4, and you wouldn't miss anything. Like
Kevin
you know
Eastman's in this.
Yeah,
of course he is. He was in the Scott Shaw movies. That guy will be in anything.
Yeah,
Kevin, the creator of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So you don't necessarily. So Citizen Toxie was kind of a reboot. So it was taken like when you have like Halloween. Is it Halloween 2, and then you kind of go forward, 20, 30 years in time, and then you have like the new Halloween movies, like 2018 onward. That's essentially what Citizen Toxie is. You don't.
Okay.
I think 2 and 3 are better movies, but if you wanted like kind of a seamless matching, you can go from Toxie to Toxie 4. I just don't suggest it.
Hugh Hefner's the president of the United States. That's funny.
I mean, does that surprise? By this point in time, Troma had lost some of its zeal. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie. It's not. If you moved Toxie forward in time but kept that same mentality of offending people, this would probably still work. But it kind of does what Terrifier 3 does, where there's like no rhyme or like it goes on and doesn't like it goes on too long. It's like it all the shit kind of overstays its welcome.
Yeah, but Terrifier 3 is like 85,000 minutes long too. So it's
you understand my point. Like that's kind of what it does, and it's it gets it's a boring, and two, you kind of look at it and go, really, guys, this is what you're trying to do to offend people. Like this is gonna
I
sound
get what you're
stupid.
saying. Toxic
Like
Avenger. Well, no, the original Toxic Avenger offends people, and it offends people in a way that is actually as bad as it can be and as offensive as it can be. It actually, of the time, it kind of fits of the time, but like you couldn't make that movie today because we are, as much as I hate to say it, we are in a world where we get offended by the smallest things. And, you know, I understand offensive in certain things, but I think the battle of humor and the battle of what we think about humor has changed so dramatically that I can see why you were saying that about Citizen Toxie. Because if you look at Terrifier 3, the reason those movies are so successful is they go back to a time when horror was brutal and offensive and graphic and all that stuff. And maybe Toxie 4 or whatever is not like that. And
no, it
I don't
is.
know.
It's worse. Like
Well, no, I'm
Toxie
just
4
saying, like,
is it goes like it goes to a school for kids with special needs, and it calls them hard R, like the hard R Academy.
Oh.
And they basically slaughter all of these kids. Like, it's over the top. It is Terrifier 3 levels of bad. And
well,
the thing
I
is,
know.
you can find, I'm not going to say you can find humor in it, but at that time and place, because it was done in 2000, or when was it done?
Well,
early 2000s.
It's not that I don't find
it's
humor
not, but
in
no,
like
no, no. But the thing is, it goes too far. It's not.
Well,
not
that's
that
what
it's
I'm saying
not
about
offensive.
Terrifier 3. I think it goes too far sometimes, or it's like we get the point. It becomes boring after a while. That's what
happens here.
That was my only issue with the Toxic Avenger, the original, is that scene in the taco restaurant. It goes on and on and on. It's like you guys need to learn how to edit it at some point, because you don't need a 10-minute sequence where these guys are holding. I mean, you can do it in less than 5 minutes and have it still be just as fun and entertaining. But as Kurt, you were saying, and when we were watching the movie, it has a lot of filler. Like, it needs to fill that 82 minutes.
It does. That's the reason why that's there. Yeah, that's exactly the reason it's there. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, every movie has it.
Right.
Well,
but with low budget movies, because they need to be able to get them into theaters at a certain length. That's why those scenes go on for so long. And honestly, if you're looking at movies of this kind, like this is on at least the sort of respectful end of like filler. You get some where the editing is so bad, but it's that way on purpose because they don't have enough story to fill the time.
Well, I'll tell you this, like when I used to work in a movie theater, the prints would be, the reel of a print of a single reel would be 20 minutes long. Okay. So an average movie would have 5 to 6 reels, 2 hours long or whatever. Well, I remember the time we got Walking Tall in the Rock remake, and the movie with credits is 72 minutes soaking wet. And
oh wow,
it was 4 reels total, and that's because the end credits sequence, or not end credits, but the credits were like 15 minutes long, and you could play that movie like literally. Yeah, it was crazy. Wow. And I understand why they do that. I mean, there's sometimes where you're just like, I get it, I get what you're doing, but there are other times in this movie where I'm like, this is entertaining, this is gross, this is disturbing, I'm having a good time watching it. I'm offended, but that's the whole point, the whole idea of Doxy having a blind girlfriend, that's offensive, but I mean, it's kind of charming in a lot of ways. And Toxie, how he kills people, is kind of charming because it's so goofy and over the top. I mean, he literally, we have the one guy, that you told me, Kurt, about how he was a military vet or something like that.
He had one arm that it was an amputee. Had the one arm removed. The one dude in the taco restaurant, he gets his arm ripped off. He was like Lloyd Kaufman's like tax attorney or something like that, or an accountant. He's like, I want to be in a movie. He's like, well, I have this part for you, but you get your arm ripped, fake arm ripped off. All right.
And you were saying how like you never see his arm
slapped with it,
right?
Yeah, you can definitely tell it's fake. Like, because there's he doesn't move it at all. It's just like down at his side the entire time until he gets it ripped off. So it's clearly just a fake arm, but it's just, I don't know. It's just it's so bizarre and just so funny.
And like the mop, when he finally starts using the mop, he's just dropping the mop on them. And he's just dragging him back and forth. It's shit's really funny. It's like stuff like that. But was there any scene in the movie that you liked a lot, that you thought was great, you found was funny, silly, stupid, whatever?
when he goes on the rampage and starts taking people out, like that
Oh.
whole like just the montage of that I personally enjoy.
Yeah.
The stuff with Bozo, it's one of those things where, like you said, it gets old quick, and where it's like the only thing that was kind of funny was he's like, "She's stressing me out" to whoever he's talking to because and yet he takes out his aggressions on all of these poor people, and that's the
Yeah.
thing across the board with like Nukem High and movies like that. There is that one character that's like the leader of the bad guys that is this character over and over again.
Yeah.
Right. You can definitely tell like there was some drugs being used on this movie. They probably got the drugs from Caddyshack.
More
Yeah.
than likely,
All
yeah.
the excess
Yeah.
coke. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, like if I just like the scenes with like the politicians, just like how corrupt they are. But there's that one scene in particular where they're on the couch or whatever, and there's like the mayor's like secretaries are dancing behind him, and there's the one dude on the couch who's just staring off into space. and Pat Ryan, Tom, is he dead? It's just I don't know what it is. It's just how he says it. It's just so funny to me. It's just like this guy, like this look of like it looks like fear on the guy's face. I don't know.
I like how he's
why.
eating the
It just
sandwich
makes
when
me-
he's getting. Was he eating like a sandwich
yeah.
when he was getting a massage or some shit?
Yeah, he's eating the freaking party stuff from Subway. Well, he's getting a rub down at the gym. Also,
Yeah.
another one. The dude who's the dude at the gym employee who's like distributing steroids.
Right.
When he's like using the leg curling machine, and like Toxie just like holds him down while the bar is like dangling over his head, and he drops it and it crushes his head. It's like God.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I like at the end when the mayor just gets his guts
Oh yeah.
stabbed out, and it's like everybody's like, "Yay, Toxie!"
Yeah. Hooray, It's like Death Wish 3. Yay, murder.
And that's the thing, deaths are
yeah.
so over the top, especially the ones with the mop, and they're just
Yeah.
awesome.
And I like how your information you gave me, Trev, about Tromaville being kind of like a Gotham City or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's kind of there. If you look at anything Troma related or anything that's set in the early Troma verse, and probably some of the later stuff too. But yeah, it all relates back to this massive nuclear plant that basically leaks out everywhere. It's the most corrupt kind of setup you could possibly imagine. The city is in on it. All the local politicians are in on it, and yeah, it's just if you want to see that hardcore, if you go back to like the Nukem High series, especially, they really get into the meat and potatoes of that plant. So
Yeah, because you said it's full of toxic waste, right?
oh yeah, everywhere. Like everyone is
I'm
affected
guessing-
by it. That's
I'm
why
guessing
everybody's so
it's
dumb
a-
and violent.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say I'm guessing it's a play on toxicity and stuff like that. Toxic.
No, it's straight up. If you look back at that time, you had like 3 Mile. Was it 3 Mile Island that happened in the 70s?
1979.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
It was right. It was kind of a.
Well,
not
no,
100%
yeah. No, what I'm
was a
saying is like
response
you
to
look
that.
at like Dairy in it. Well,
I
no, I'm just saying the
don't
creature
know.
is like the town is a play on like culture and how messed up people were back in the day, and
It might be. I always just kind of assumed it was a response to more so just the fact that you had this massive toxic spill and they were doing a play on that because that was, kind of what they did at the time. So they might be,
Yeah.
Right.
but to my knowledge, I think it's more based on like the community response to this, this massive, nuclear
it is.
facility has wasted all over the place, like in Nukem High, they actually go
Yeah.
and you see that the school is like right next to the nuclear plant and it's leaking into the water and it gets into the water and the food of the kids and like
I'm assuming that
stuff
because
happens.
it's trauma, it wouldn't be that deep anyway. So
Oh no, yeah. That's one thing about those movies. I mean, they did have things that they were trying to say, but if they were
Well,
saying
no, I mean,
them, they were
every
pretty
movie
out
has-
front,
every movie
about it.
has the creators' ideas. Like if you look at Superman, it's clearly talking about the conflict that's going on between was it Ukraine or not Ukraine? Is it Israel?
Israel and
No,
Palestine.
it's
Yeah.
I mean that
Is it Ukraine?
this was written before that started.
No.
not
I'm just
that
saying,
it's-
like, you can look at any movie like that. You can look at Guardians
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
You could look at, any movie. There is some level of like they are trying to say. I mean, trying to say a little bit, that type
Yeah.
of thing. I'm not saying that's exactly what it's doing. I'm just saying there is a level of like talking about how toxic, society can be around the face of like, corruption and all that stuff. So that's what I meant. So
I get you. I get you.
yeah.
I mean, in this case, like I say, I think they're out to offend everybody, and I don't think. I mean, if they obviously have their motives in the background, but I think by and large it is just a hey, look, look at this. We've got this mutated guy, and plus you look at like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You look at all that kind of stuff. They're playing off of those things that people know.
If you can look at like the two gay guys, I mean, it's super how that time was against gay people and stuff like that. Super offensive, and it's funny to me if you think about like what James Gunn, who came out and became like probably the most successful or one of the most successful of the Tromaites or whatever. Even his movies today with Superman and Guardians, they're very Troma coded. And with what they're doing, like Superman, like it feels like a Troma film, but a PG-13 version with the sensibilities of the goofy, over the top, silly nature with the good action and fun storytelling. It's like you watch was it Slither's like straight up a Troma film if you think about it, and Super as well. Super is like really super offensive and is straight up a Troma film in its own right.
Right.
Well, definitely the off, like you get like kind of the like in Superman and in like Guardians, you get kind of the backhanded like under like kind of the under the table riffing like, oh well, I was doing that whole kind of back talk. I mean, that's definitely things that you would see in a Troma movie. I mean, the humor too, like the way that they play that is a lot of. I mean, that's a lot of what you get with Troma stuff as well. So
yeah, can you imagine thinking that a guy from Troma would be running DC? Right now.
Well, when James Gunn got into all the trouble a couple of years ago, I mean, I'm sure a lot of that came from like the people he associated with at Troma, because let's be honest, there's a lot of like alternative personality types that were at Troma.
Oh no,
people that had a very different way of
James Gunn's super offensive. Like he is very darkly comedic when it comes to his like what he likes to talk about. I mean, you look at like I said, you go to the Belko Experiment, you go Slither, Super. I think he co-write. No, he produced Brightburn,
Romeo and Juliet.
Suicide Squad. I mean, he knows how to kind of that sensibility of just being super offensive when he wants to be. Now he's at a point where he has no choice but to be a little less super offensive. But if he were to go back and like make a movie like Sam Raimi's doing, he would go back and make something super. Like something like Super or Slither. I mean, he's that kind of. He's just a different person than he used to be, but he still has that. Yeah, I mean, he still puts Lloyd Kaufman in his movies. I mean, he still knows his heritage and that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming like Toxic Avenger is very much an influence for him on what he's known for doing. So Lloyd Kaufman was he worked on Saturday Night Fever, The Final Countdown, and My Dinner with Andree.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's a very bizarre, very strange career trajectory he took.
Well, look at like William Castle. The guy was schlock, personified, but yet he was one of the guys that brought Rosemary's Baby about. These guys.
Right.
It's easy to look at them as like a one-trick pony, but they actually did quite a lot beyond that. Like they had bigger ambitions.
Mel Brooks produced Elephant Man.
Yeah.
He just took his name off of it, so it's crazy. Like just looking back at like Lloyd Kaufman's career, he is a pretty interesting career. Like you said, he teamed up with Michael Herz, who he co-directed with for Toxic Avenger and Nukem High and stuff like that. And
that's one with Carrie Russell, I think.
No. This is from like when this come out, 1981.
Oh, never mind. That would be a different one entirely.
Jim Harris, Carol Drake, Hunt Block. Dan Lowenthal edited. Interesting. He's produced more than he's directed, of course, but Tales from the Crapper. I like that name.
Oh,
I wonder if did he direct a violent or did he produce a violent shit? Because those movies are something else entirely.
And the Anders Schloss movies?
Yes.
No, it doesn't look like it. Make your own damn movie. Nice.
That is one thing about like later day Troma. I think there's been so much. Like you look at like asylum movies and kind of like movies like that, the ones that have come up, there is such an emphasis on movies that are quote good bad that I think Troma is kind of, it's hard to keep up with itself or the reputation that it had. So it does go to this route.
Didn't Lloyd Kaufman and Troma, didn't they help the Stone and Parker get their cannibal musical
Yeah,
into theaters and
yeah, because
stuff?
they I think they distributed Cannibal the musical because
Yeah, I
I
think you're
think
right.
Troma still I don't there was supposed to be a big release. I think Arrow or someone was putting it out, or Vinegar Syndrome or Severin. But yeah,
And
they
they
used to
tend to do that
distribute.
for like
Yeah,
Severin tends to distribute like trauma stuff in better
yeah.
ways than trauma themselves do,
Yeah, I
because
heard
But yeah,
Severance.
they
yeah.
distribute books.
They did distribute Cannibal the musical. So,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's
okay.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Didn't you say Severin has like a lot of issues or something like that?
No, trauma itself. So if trauma releases a
Oh no,
movie,
but no,
or
but I was saying I thought you guys said something about Severin did something that.
so Severin will distribute, I think it's Severin distributes trauma movies, but
Mhm.
Severin doing a trauma movie like an upscale on a trauma movie versus trauma doing an upscale on a trauma movie, night and day. Like the
Mm.
Yeah.
quality of the prints of the extras, what you get is night and day.
Actually,
So,
Vinegar Syndrome put out a
or maybe
Blu-ray
it's Vinegar
edition last
Syndrome.
year. Yeah, Vinegar Syndrome did a
Okay, it's Vinegar
Blu-ray.
Syndrome, not Severin. I
Okay.
apologize.
I
Sorry
couldn't
about that.
remember. I couldn't remember which one it was. I don't really follow. I know like Dan does, but I don't really follow
Yeah.
Vinegar Syndrome or Severin like Dan would.
Right. No, and I
Isn't
don't either.
Severin like
I
the
just
porn?
remember.
Like they release a lot of porn stuff.
No, that's Vinegar. There's a subdivision of Vinegar Syndrome. Yeah, they put out like a lot of those movies. Like the fact that Bat Pussy, and that not that this is a trauma thing, but the fact that they put out Bat Pussy as a, as much of an upscale as you can get on a POS like
Yeah. I
attempted
was gonna
porn.
say that
Um,
movie looked really good for what it was when Dan
whew,
showed us that.
that was a whole other kettle of
I never
fish.
want to watch Bad Pussy. I just want to have.
Please
I
don't.
No,
want to have the
do
idea
it,
that I've
do
never
it,
watched it.
No, don't.
do
Will
it.
it? Don't. It's right up there
Dan's
with
threatening
Baby
us.
Cat.
Dan's threatening to show it to us again.
Hey,
Jesus.
that's on you guys for continuing to speak about it.
I can't help it.
Well, you can.
Dan
You just
also
choose
Dan
not
also
to.
bought like three prints of Caligula. So
Yeah, that he's, he has his
um,
taste. So
He
yeah.
does have a sense. All right, so
Anyways,
we
back
were
to
back.
Toxic Avenger. Yeah, so once again, Toxic Avenger is a cheesy, grade, campy, but kind of fun, take on the superhero genre before superheroes became overwrought and kind of boring to the point where, I don't know, Marvel can't do stuff anymore. But back in the day, it was, it came out after like Superman came out. It's like, Asylum or something like that. It's a version of Superman. Not really, but
it's more
kind
kind of Hulk meets
I
it,
know,
really, if you're
I know.
talking.
I'm just I'm making a
Yeah,
joke. It's like the Asylum version of I don't know,
No, it
but
totally is. Well,
well, like
Asylum
I
is
said,
actually, well, I don't know.
that
How would
Dolph
you equate?
Lundgren Punisher movie.
Yeah, there you
yes,
go.
yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, absolutely. It's in the realm of Dark Man. We'll put it that. It's like
Yeah, I was
a
gonna
Yeah,
say it's
much
very
sure.
Darkman-esque kind
cheesier.
of.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, it didn't bring around a lot of famous people outside of Lloyd Kaufman himself, but it has its charm. It obviously eventually gave us other trauma films like Tromeo and Juliet and Class of Nukem High, and stuff that
Combat
people,
Shock.
yeah,
Yeah.
Combat Shock, people, stuff that people appreciate and stuff that people realize that though Troma may not be the studio it once was, at least it was attempting to be its own thing. It wasn't trying to
Yeah.
be like everything else, and I appreciate that. I do. Like I said, I don't think the movie like 100% worked for me on like certain things, but I think I was in the right mindset. I enjoyed it watching it with you guys, and it's fun. It made enough money to warrant a studio, four films, and an animated series called was it
Toxic,
Crusaders.
yeah, Toxic
Toxic
Crusaders.
Crusaders, and that's Toxic Avenger. Was there anything else you guys want to talk about with the movie that we didn't talk about?
I guess the
I
one
got
thing I
nothing.
would, the one thing I was going
So,
to add
sorry.
was, and it's something, no, that's okay. That's the thing you
Damn
brought
you.
up, Nick, about it, being a movie to watch. I think that
Yeah,
it is about that experience of a group watch. And I guess
yeah,
whether you're talking MST3K or just general watch parties that a lot of people do, the really
Yeah.
good versions of any of these so good they're bad movies, which, I mean, I'm not going to call Toxic good, but I don't think it's on the realm of bad. Like it is an entertaining thing, however you state it. And having,
well, yeah, yeah.
watching it with people in that mindset, it can be fun. Like the best way to view something like Toxie or Nukem High or anything Troma, anything Full Moon, and I can't say for the new one. I would assume that it's probably in that same realm. Is as a group watch. Get a couple of
Yeah.
people that you enjoy watching movies with, pop it on, have a beer, or whatever makes you happy as far as a substance. It's not going to do harm to others, and that's what makes movies like this good.
Yeah, have you
Yeah.
guys watched the trailer for the new Toxic Avenger?
I did.
It's been a minute. I've not seen the newest one.
It's
I
it's
watched
quite
the newest
something.
one the other day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I do
It's
wonder, like with the new one, it's going to be interesting to see how they balance. Because like you look at like the Naked Gun movies, the old and the new, they do a pretty decent job of bringing the stuff that worked in the original up to a modern audience. From what I've heard,
Well, I
they did
think
a really
that's
good
what-
job with Toxie. I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they brought it up to Terrifier level of violence, not maybe as long and like drawn out as Terrifier 3 was, but I've heard like the violence and the way Peter Dinklage plays Toxie and the fact that it has a much bigger cast than the original did.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Elijah Wood, who actually I think played a great villain in like Sin City.
Mhm.
Peter Dinklage, which is kind of surprising. Like I said, Jacob Tremblay, and some other people that are in the movie that have a pretty decent cred when it came to the cast. And then you have Macon Blair, who was in like stuff like Green Room and stuff like that. And it played at Fantasia Fest, Fantastic Fest, whatever that was,
Fantastic Fest, yeah.
a year ago. And there was a movie that was never going to get released for some reason. It's been like almost 2 years, and here we are finally getting that.
That's an interesting thing to me too, because like you make this movie, like no one wants to distribute it. There's stuff like Terrifier out there. There's been Terrifier out there for ages. I wonder if the
Terrifier,
legend, but I wonder if the legend of Toxie is so like over the top that people don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Because there's stuff that's got to be a lot worse.
What's going to happen? What I guarantee is going to happen with Toxic Avenger. It's going to get word of mouth. People are going to love it. The people, they're going to be offended. People are going to get offended because it is an offensive movie, what I hear. But it's similar to Terrifier was a movie that had extremely low budget. It was a movie that played well with audiences. And then Terrifier 2 came out and became this phenomenon because it kind of, rolled into a ball. And you look at stuff like, Trick or Treat, you look at stuff like Rocky Horror Picture Show, you look at stuff like Cabin in the Woods. All it takes is that one spark, that one igniting light.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dread.
Scott Pilgrim, stuff like that, yeah.
I mean, the problem with Scott Pilgrim is nobody went to see that fucking movie.
I know, and
which they
it
should
sucks
have.
because that movie's awesome.
And Snakes on a Plane. It just... all it needs is that one push, and it'll be, considered like it'll probably be a cult classic. I mean, who knows?
So it harkens back to like what it was like, what the movie going industry was like when I was younger. Before like this thing now of like the David Zaslavs and those guys who own the streaming platforms who just want to put this stuff on streaming as quick as possible. I think this movie, like you pointed out, Nick, I think this movie will get good vibe going, positive word of mouth, showings at like Fantastic Fest or showing this at it'd be like hundreds of kind of reminds me of like hundreds of beavers. It's just it's to say just this movie that plays in the circuit, the festival circuit, and then it gets buzz going, and then people buy the physical copies of it, and it just creates this wonderful cult. Yeah, as I say, she's the one who told me about.
You're the one who told us all about. Like,
she told us all about it.
When you told us about when you went to the film festival you went to, and you're like, oh, I saw this amazing movie, Hundreds of Beavers. I'm like, and you showed me a trailer. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I watched it. And it became like one of my favorite movies of the year. And it just that's sometimes how it works.
So much fun.
I mean, look at Sinners. Sinners was expected to do nothing at the theater, and it became this phenomenon. It became
this mega hit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Look at Weapons. Weapons, same thing.
Yeah, mega hit that saved AMC's second quarter. Now apparently,
can't give me enough trailers as it is. If they added commercials,
they're cutting down 5 minutes. They're cutting down 5 minutes on it.
Oh my god!
I know, ground shattering.
Wow.
I know.
But with that said, anything else you guys want to talk about with this movie?
I got nothing. So. I said my piece.
I mean,
this was fun.
I would say, ending, for those folks that are still here, I'd say that, take what we've said, like, look at the trailers, look at what's been said about it. If you're someone that can deal with a little of this kind of stuff, then yeah, absolutely. I think check this out. But definitely gauge for yourself before you go into it, because it isn't a movie that pulls punches for the 80s and definitely doesn't pull punches for what watches
No.
today.
Yeah, if you get
No, it does not.
offended, you might not want to see this movie. I'm just telling you
'Cause
right
it
now.
is-
It is offensive.
It's like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's violent. There's some really violent stuff, but it's more the language and the way that people are treated because it is like Deadpool. This doesn't pull punches, and that's important to
Exactly.
note. It's funny as hell, but you
Yes.
have to be in the right mindset and the right audience to watch this.
And you got to know
Right.
that things happen in this movie that don't make a lot of sense, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
What are
Definitely
you
don't
talking
go
about? You
looking.
mean
Good.
if I fall into a vat of toxic waste, you're saying I won't come out with superpowers? You know,
You're gonna
and
turn
I mean,
into
you-
the Joker, like your skin will bleach up, but yeah, you're not gonna. Your eye
I
will
mean,
sag, but you're not gonna get superpowers.
If it'll
Damn
get
it.
you a hot blind chick, I mean, sure, why not?
You can try. No guarantees.
Exactly.
We do not guarantee hot chicks will come to your door.
So, anyways, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and head out for the time being. Once again, the new movie's come out. Check out the old movie if you feel up to it. It's only 82 minutes long, and it's still, it is what it is. But Triv, Kurt, it's been awesome. Thank you for
Thank
coming on to our channel, or our channel, my
Absolutely.
channel.
I was gonna say
Not
it's
our
our
channel.
channel now. Sweet.
Exactly.
I'm all right. Sweet. We own the
Bikini
Movie Emporium.
Here we go. We're the
I'm
Troma
actually giving it to you
Emporium.
guys so I can start the porn emporium at the
Yeah,
Trivial
No,
yeah,
it's
Theater.
Now
porn.
Triv owns a theater and an emporium.
Yeah. I'm gonna go stand in line for This Is Spinal Tap 2, the movie that didn't need to be made.
Oh, we needed more miniature Stonehenge.
Stonehenge.
Exactly.
That's
I do agree with that.
That's a good question.
Okay, so Kurt, I'm gonna start with you. You don't have a YouTube channel, but you do have ways of logging your movie reviews. Where's that at?
I do. It is exclusively only at letterboxd.com. I'm sure they'll show up in the show notes. I write reviews well, I didn't write them on Sunday this week. I kind of procrastinated a little bit. I wrote them last night, but I wrote stuff for the stuff we watched last week for Friday Night's Popcorn and Pain, War of the Worlds, a Lorenzo Lamas style Ready Player One movie from the 90s that was pretty meh, and a movie called Tiki, which was about this girl who goes into a coma and her aunt, who is into tiki culture and voodoo and stuff, resurrects his tiki doll, and it kills all the people who caused her to go into this coma, which was awesome. And of course, the aforementioned Ice Cube Amazon produced War of the Worlds movie, which I may top my top 10 of the year for worst. Oh, not top it, because Aeneas, The Resurrection of Troy will top the number one. That's the first movie I watched this year, and that's the one Trev talked about with the dude who was in the this trust fund kid who just basically used a camcorder and shot his feet for most of the movie and cited soliloquies from Greek history.
And not well.
And not well. It's awful. But I'm also exclusively on Blue Sky. You follow me there. It's swayzeofarabia.bluesky.social. If you follow me on Blue Sky and you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you just click the link on my bio and it takes you there. That's all I got. Yeah, that's my plugs.
Nice.
Sounds good. And myself, you can find me at Movie Emporium. That's where I hold all my content.
What about, you don't want to hear about my
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Troma?
didn't realize you were there, Trev. I thought you were I thought you were signing off your Emporium or your theater to me. Your porn.
No, she signed it off to Dan and myself. We still own it.
Dan's still under a
Absolutely not.
16-pound weight.
Jesus. Anyway,
No,
if you want to
anyways,
see,
joke's on
if
her.
you
I'm
want
gonna
to
free
see
him.
the YouTube equivalent of Tromaville, well, not really, I guess at the moment, but you can find me here on YouTube, Trivial Theater. I've been doing a lot of riffable PSAs with friends of the channel, including these two knuckleheads, not together but individually. So come check me out there. I just did a retrospective on Police Squad, which was pretty fun. So definitely stop by and say hi.
Yes, that has one of the best openings you've ever done. So
it is pretty good.
It was amazing.
I'm pretty proud of it.
The rest of it was okay, but no, I'm just kidding. No, but that opening is amazing. That's one of your best openings you've ever done. I do agree. So watch that.
Well, if you give me a Dan reading a script from the 1980s, you can't go wrong.
Exactly. No. You can watch Triv review Police Squad with a killer pineapple. So
absolutely, because that is the way I should review it.
With the detective hat. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep.
Once again, for me, Movie Emporium, that's where I hold all the content. I've been doing a lot of TV. I'm doing, what am I doing right now? I'm finishing up Smoke. I did, of course, Twisted Metal. I have something else coming out. There's a lot of shit coming out I'm doing. So,
Hooray!
yeah, look forward to that. So, with that said, also look forward to the Toxic Avenger 2025 version. We'll talk about that soon. Hopefully, I get the chance to see that soon. And yeah, that'll do it. As always, if you like this, comment below what you think of the Toxic Avenger, what you think of it overall, if you've seen it. But otherwise, if you like what you see on the channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next review. Peace out, guys.
Bye bye.
The meeting participants engage in inappropriate and unprofessional behavior, with Trip making explicit sexual references while noting the means being transcribed by AI.
Doggy
Followed by
style,
Kurt
dirty
expressing interest in
trumpet.
using AI for transcript.
Drink from your rush cup.
Exactly.